cheerful when you poke the bear, man.
I ain't poking no bear. There's no daggone way.
Guys, it's time for another edition of Talking Preps. Before I drop the music, I got to give a shout out to Gary and Kinsey. You got your man, 4 years, $160 million, $120+ million guaranteed. Y'all better hope he's healthy.
Is that like cheese jersey over there, McKenzie? That jersey's been through the wash for a few times.
I got this jersey right after Dak's rookie year. Tried and true.
Y'all paying Dak a whole lot of cheese. A whole lot. Guys, we got a really packed show. We got Dave Doeren on the show. We got we're gonna talk Garinger. Chris has about 9,000 Sweet 16s to go through. So we're gonna get right into it. Here we go. All right, we're back. Another episode of Talking Preps. It's been a crazy week. I just want to kind of get right to it because we do have a packed show. I do want to get to the Dave Doeren interview. I know a lot of people want to see that. Malik Creek, are they in trouble, Mr. Grice? 0-2.
Absolutely not. I think, in this situation with that game, not enough credit's given to Lake Norman. Lake Norman had Vance on the ropes last year, up 21-10 with 3 to play. They had Hough under pressure last year. They've been knocking on the door of upsetting one of these big three. What you saw was preparation and hard work from that Lake Norman staff. Malik Creek's going to go 5-2, and let me tell you this: you see them in the playoffs. That's not a team that you want to face. Lake Norman and Vance, the 2 losses that they currently have, are some of the best teams you're going to find in 4A, and I expect to see them go far. So Malik Creek's not in trouble. Stop the presses. Stop the alerts and the fire statements and statuses and all those things. Coach Tim's in that crew is going to be fine. And again, if you have a problem, if you make the playoffs, I don't think that's going to be the team you want to see.
All right, I wasn't going to do this because I was trying not to get him in trouble.
I hope Grice is a little wrong. I hope they end up like 4-3.
Sam, you played Malik Creek Friday. What do you think? Is Malik Creek in trouble?
Yeah, I watch him on film. They're definitely not in trouble. I mean, he's just creating a culture. He is great fit for that program. You'll see how great of work he does 3 years from now. The culture is really, really special. I like his little 7-step program. I'm actually going to take a little bit of that because I love the number 7 as well. I think that he's doing it the right way. And sometimes when you do it the right way, you don't see results right from the get-go. It takes time. You have to marinate. Have come to Jesus meetings, and I think that I'm mad that we're getting a pissed off Malik Creek right now. So I was hoping that they were 2-0, and then they were a little lazy coming into this game, but now they're hungry. So it's gonna be a tough road for us.
Well, I got you on the screen. Tell me about the Senior Bowls coming back, and you're coaching.
There you go.
Yeah. Petman, he called me up and said, "Hey, would you like to coach?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. I love to be around these guys." I think Fairby's going to be our head coach for the West Side. So, we got to represent the Dub side. And I'm excited. I don't know what my role is yet. I just know I'm an assistant coach. Don't know what I'm doing, but I'm excited to be a part of it. I think it's really good for those seniors in the area of Charlotte where they get an opportunity to play a little bit more and they get a little bit more film. People can watch it, and it can help them get recruited maybe, like a little all-star game where they might not make it to the Shrine Bowl, but they're good enough to play in this type of game.
Yeah, and absolutely. And they're expanding this year. They're going to take Cleveland County, Union County, Gaston County. So a lot more teams, a lot more kids get a chance to play. We'll definitely have, some of the organizers on the show to get a little closer. But I think it's a wonderful thing, especially, Chris, in the year we don't have a Shrine Bowl. What do you think?
No kidding. Obviously I've worked with the Shrine Bowl for about 15 years now, and I'm a huge, huge supporter of what they do. And not only the football aspect, but what they do for children. But in their absence, at least for this year, it's amazing to have some sort of an outlet for these young men in the area to play. And I'm glad to hear that they're adding some of the surrounding counties, because we all know that the epicenter of football here in North Carolina is Charlotte, Union, Gaston, Cabarrus, Iredell. It's such a big area. And I'm just glad to see these guys have a chance to show off their talents, and just hopefully maybe 1 or 2 of them get seen to get an opportunity to go to the next level.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're hearing Dale and Gary about COVID playing a role again. Weddington's hunting a game. There's several teams hunting games. What are you guys' thoughts about, could this hurt the playoffs?
Well, you can run into the same situation that that happened during the basketball season where you have a conference champion that hasn't played as many games as the other people in the conference, but because they have a higher winning percentage, they get the playoff berth. So that's something that the state will have to look into, where you got maybe a team that has won 5 games, but they only played 5 versus a team that say played 7 games and maybe won 6. And the 5-game winner has a higher winning percentage. And, that's a tough situation to have to deal with, but that's been the nature of sports throughout the year.
Let's hear. We heard from Doom. Let's hear from Gloom.
Well, this was expected, right? The South Carolina did this in the fall. They finished their season. I think we can expect this to occur a number of times this season, and we're in a better situation than people were in back in the fall, it looks like. So I think the biggest concern might be how many wins you have in getting into the playoffs, as Gary mentioned. And is there going to be any unethical of I'm not going to play this week? And, there was some questions about that happening in South Carolina. So, hey, I think we're in a good shape, to be honest. So.
Alex, welcome back. Again, condolences to your loss, but welcome back to the show. Glad to have you. Just a couple quick thoughts, 30 seconds, your thoughts on COVID affecting the high school season. And I want to ask you about the next topic as well, about the NCHSA in Raleigh.
We knew it was inevitable, and it is what it is. It's absolutely unfortunate all the way around, but it's going to come into play. And we're going to have to rely on personal integrity going forward in terms of coaches looking to follow through schedules. And hopefully none of the things that we have been hearing are in fact true, because this COVID thing is for real. But it is what it is. Let's endeavor to persevere and move forward. And I'd like to put in a pitch for, we know that Weddington's looking for a game this week, and so is Richmond County. Jack Britt had to bail because of COVID protocols. So that being said, let's make it happen. Friday, March 12th in Rockingham.
Yes, sir. I'm for it.
And Richmond. Let's go.
Alex, it's got to be at Weddington. It's already a pre-planned senior night. I think they really need that game at Weddington. But I'm with you. They really need to make that happen.
Let's do it.
That would be a good
one. Let's go.
Kizzy, I got to wish you happy International Women's Day to you and all the ladies out there. Happy International Women's Day. Glad you're back. I know you got a great interview coming up. We're going to bring you back when we start talking about the games of the week. And I want to ask Alex and Chris about a report that came out in WRAL saying that the state legislature is going to look into the NCHSAA. They're concerned about a private nonprofit and doesn't have legal authority to oversee public high school sports. Alex.
Well, as a matter of fact, yes, it does, because of the structure that the association has created for itself, not just yesterday and not just 1 or 2 years ago, but for decades. I mean, long before. I mean, we can go all the way back prior to Charlie Adams as executive director. We're going back to the time of Simon Terrell, after whom the association's building is named as the executive director. The NCHSAA has put itself in a position with its board of directors governing structure to ensure the voice of the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction and other public entities, particularly LEAs representatives of many of the LEAs throughout the state, or our local education agency school systems throughout the state. So you have that public representation and public officials who actually are driving the governance of the association. And I'd also like to remind everyone that it was a notable gaffe a number of years ago that rendered the association to a point where it had to become a private entity. This was a public doing that even got us to this point. So let's remember all of those things too. I mean, there are a lot of things that I know about how that unfolded. We could spend a whole show talking about that. But this was a public gaffe that led us to this point. So that being said, but that's something for another day. But that being said, along with the board of directors governance structure, which has in a North Carolina Department of Public Instruction official as an ex officio member and is driven by leadership from superintendents of public local education agencies and other principals, city county athletics directors, school athletics directors, coaches, et cetera, et cetera. It very much is governed by public officials. So I think it's fine.
Chris, same question.
I hope that my internet's, I feel like it's kind of fuzzy. So let me know that if it's not working. Alex and I had this phone call probably 3 or 4 months ago. I think he and I both had been hearing about it. And I think he and I talked for 2 hours about this thing. Alex and I both have had tremendous personal relationships with the late Charlie Adams and obviously with Q and Rick Strunk and a lot of these guys with the association. And I got to say, first and foremost, the job that they got and the job that they've done and everything that they've done over the years, they've done a phenomenal job, and I'm 100% in support. Now, where I may differ a little bit in my stance, maybe as opposed to Alex, is I would like to see maybe a little bit more oversight just in some of the questions that I know the legislative members are asking. And I may or may not have been privy to some of the things because I may or may not have been spoke to by some of them leading up to this. But, there are some questions about the enormous amounts of money and the finances and some things that they're sitting on. And why are they sitting on all this money, especially during a time like we're seeing today with the pandemic and just the huge downfall of finances that these schools are facing with the lack of revenue, the lack of games. So why are they continuing to charge these schools? I feel like there could have been a moratorium or something on fees just to help the schools get out of this stance. So, in the aspect of finances, I'd like to maybe see some oversight. But in the terms of governance, I think Q Tucker and the NCHSAA has done a phenomenal job. And who am I to say they need to do something different?
Absolutely. Well, we're going to go right into our interview that we had early today with Dave Doeren, and I'm going to play that for you guys now. All right, guys, we're here with NC State football coach Dave Doeren back again. Coach, thanks for coming back on the show with us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Man, last year we were talking and COVID was in full strength, but you guys went ahead and played. You won 4 of your last 5 games. You're 8-4, never lost Kentucky in the bowl game. That was a huge turnaround from 2019 when you were 4-8. You won 7 conference games, up from 1 the year before. How did you do it, Coach? How did you turn NC State around?
Gave you an opportunity to grow together, grow apart. And I thought our team really did a nice job through the COVID pandemic and all the social unrest of coming closer, and sticking together through all that. And that helped us in some close games.
Coach, you have a knack for finishing strong, as I talked about. But last year there was so much adversity. You had injuries at the quarterback. You had injuries at the cornerback. You had staff days at the beginning of the year. But yet and still, you went from averaging about 22 points a game to 31 points a game, and you had the big turnaround. What's the magic potion that you give the players to do that kind of thing? I mean, that's amazing.
Well, I think, the strength staff does a really nice job throughout the season. We don't just try to maintain our summer strength gains. We continue to train hard during the season, and you can't overdo it either because you can end up burning the candle at both ends. But I do feel like our players get stronger as the year goes on. They buy into lifting weights year round. The guys understand it's not just an off-season thing. I feel like in most of the seasons that I've been here, we have gotten better as seasons have gone on. And November last year was a good finish. I wish we would have been a little healthier in the bowl game. It might have turned out a little differently, but I felt like just programmatically, the way we set things up and the way we take our practice to get the guys healthy and give them rest when they need it, and just being smart allows them to stay fresh towards the end of the year.
Well, speaking of getting healthy, I got a press release today that Devin Leary's coming back tomorrow for spring practice. How big a deal is that for you guys?
Oh, it's huge. Obviously you want your starting quarterback to be a part of everything. Devin looks good. He went through the last month here of all the running and conditioning and different things that we do. He's in a great mental space right now. It feels good. Looking forward to seeing him. Obviously, it's been a while since I've been able to see him play football, and he's very confident. I think he's done a really good job with his teammates. So great having him and getting to see Ben and Aaron behind him too, and progress that Ben's made this offseason. Aaron's been here since January, so it'll be fun to watch all three of our quarterbacks.
Coach, thanks for joining us.
That deal.
Here at the end of the season, the last ACC game, the ACC championship, what is your preference, to have the two division winners play each other, or to have the two best records in the conference play?
I think watching this play out, not just in our league, but in other leagues throughout the years, I do think that the two teams that have the best records should play in the conference championship. I'm not sure where that sits with other coaches in our league, but, we have in a lot of these leagues, you're going to have two teams that have 10-plus wins and maybe one or two losses or no losses. And, at times you'll see a team that maybe only has 7 or 8 wins playing the championship game, and there's a team with 10 or 11 that's not. And to me, it ought to represent the teams that are ranked the highest, that have the best records at the end of the season.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate you coming on with us. I read here recently where quarterback Bailey Hodgman says that you're always positive, which I agree with in my interactions with you. And he said, and I want to quote, you build people up and let them excel. Is that a coaching philosophy? And if so, where does that come from for you?
Yeah, I appreciate Bailey saying that. And I think the power of positivity is a big deal. And just being in the sport and competing, it's hard to win games. It's hard to compete at this level and be great. It's really hard when you're around negative people. There's so much negativity in our world now, and the influence of social media and commentary. People that don't have to stand behind what they say. I think, for us that get to be around these young men every day and around our staff, we have to be guys and girls, for that matter, that are solution-driven, that want to bring positive things to the table. I think, if you wake up with a negative mindset, you're probably going to have a bad day. No different. If I come to work that way, it's going to be hard for me to have a positive impact on young people. So it's something I really believe in. I've been a part of programs where it wasn't that way, and it's just not very much fun. Life's too short. I really want to enjoy what I do. I want the players to be excited about the training and the coaching, the development. I want the staff to love where they work. And obviously, we're going to compete. We're going to do it in a pressure cooker, but it doesn't mean we can't enjoy the ride.
No, I totally agree 100%. And let's talk a little bit about the future. You've beat a ranked opponent on the road in Pittsburgh for the first time in 4 years. You had 2 wins over ranked opponents in the same season for the first time, I think, in 3 or 4 years. How high is your personal expectations for this upcoming season and this group you put together?
I'm excited for this team that we have coming back. There's a lot of experience. A lot of these forced to play too early 2 years ago, and had their scars from that and improved. There's a lot of confidence. There's also a hunger, to continue to raise our level of play and find a way to continue to win these close games and put ourselves in a different place. I think this team has the capabilities to raise the bar higher than we have. Obviously, there's a lot of things that have to happen. Health is a big part of that. You see the teams that make it as far as they do. Most of them had a pretty fortunate year at key positions. And for us to be able to win 8 last year with a quarterback injury says a lot about our depth at that position in particular. And at DB, we got better as the season went on. And it was rotating chairs for a long time back there. So we can have some stability in the lineup. With all the growth and experience we have coming back, we have a chance to have a very successful year.
Coach, 7 of your players made the all-academic ACC team last season. I think it made NC State. Obviously, the academic component is big for you. How does that factor into your recruiting process?
One of the things we talk about here is chasing 2 dreams. Life with football and life after football, and making sure you take advantage of all your resources and everything that you can to get NC State as a platform. And I think something that we preach, it's something we put a lot of time into, it's something I believe in, our staff believes in, and our team believes in. And I don't want to just have good football players. I want to have great men that are excited about their life after football and trying to help them have that. That's the beauty of Raleigh, being in the capital. There's so many things here for them. From workshops to opportunities to interview for internships, to work internships, and there's a lot of great corporations, not just in Raleigh, but in our state, that these guys have access to, and being a part of the Wolfpack ties you into the largest network in the state from an alumni standpoint. So things that we talk about, not just with our current players, but with players that we're recruiting and their parents.
Coach, that's about where we've been, or where you have been. Let's take a minute and talk a minute about where we can be. 247 Sports is ranked your incoming class at 35th in the nation, which is pretty good. 20 new freshmen coming in. You have a couple of, or a few, I should say, 4 stars. Receiver Micah Carl and Kroll, and linebacker Jordan Poole, and you got a new quarterback coming in. How do you feel about this class, and what impact might they have? You did mention that you were looking forward to your new quarterback.
Well, I think this spring will tell a lot. It's been a fun group. 17 of them are here already mid-year, and so we've gotten to see these guys train. They're very low maintenance. They work really hard. They're a high energy, positive group of guys. They're eager. They're hungry. We have to develop them, and now we got to get out on the field and really see where they're at. The learning curve from high school to college is much different. The speed of the game, the intensity, age differential, and how much that versus 18 versus a 22-year-old is very challenging for some of them. Some of them that can jump in and play. We're about to find out. I've never been a coach that really put a lot of stock into the star system, particularly now that so many people came and watch them play in person. But it's more about what they do when they get here. And at this point, this group has done really good things. They've worked hard. And so that's great to see. Sometimes guys come in and they get pumped up so much in recruiting, they think it's going to be easy, and it's not. Everybody on this roster was probably the best player on their team in high school, and when we play is no different. So it's very competitive. Things aren't always easy. Nothing happens fast. They have to work to get it. They have to earn it. And so I enjoy that process with them and teaching them how to go through those steps. Where is this class going to end up? It's impossible to predict that. But the indications from the first couple months with them is that they're going to be a really hard-working group.
Being an NC State fan, I've seen many times where we have not had the best recruiting class, yet we beat teams that had better recruiting classes. And I think it's what you do with players once you get them versus what they are when they come in. And speaking about that, because of COVID, the NC2AA is kind of giving kids another year, and that puts a big impact on bringing in new players and how they have to compete with each other. So the question is, you basically have two freshman classes now. How do you feel the kids are going to approach this? And really, that's our question. How the kids going to handle this? How's the program going to handle this?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm not sure I have the answer for you yet. You know, the entire class isn't even here yet. So, and there's some answers that we need as coaches and administrators. Like the NCAA is going to get us back into regular scholarship numbers, and we can't predict our attrition the same way because you have really 4 more classes on your roster that have 1 more year than you expect them to have, and we don't know necessarily that they'll use it. Some kids, leave early, like Lee McNeil just did, because they feel they're ready to play, and some kids will come back like a Mecca, and you had no idea you'd be coaching him for 50 years. So it's interesting times for us. It's very challenging to know how many spots we're really going to have. With these super seniors, we have 6 of them on our roster, and so you're really operating this year at 91 scholarships, but you can only sign up to 25 to get you to 85, and it's kind of a waiting game on our end from the NCAA standpoint. We granted all these scholarships, and now we got to figure out how to manage it, and so the roster management piece is probably the hottest topic amongst the ACC head coaches when we talk in our weekly or bi-weekly or monthly meetings. So, it's a wait and see game more than anything. We got to recruit like we do every year and be ready to fill positions and make sure we're on the right young men and that we learn as much as we can to make sure they're a good fit. But being able to predict it like we could in the past it's going to be a little bit of a, wait and see.
Coach Doeren, speaking of the challenges that you faced in 2020 and now 2021, how optimistic are you that 2021 will be a much more normal college football season with more fans interacting interruptions to have to deal with, or hopefully?
Well, with the way they're pushing out the vaccine and some of the news that I'm seeing around the vaccine and how they're allowing or getting rid of contact tracing for vaccinated people and things, those all trend in the right direction. Fans to be back in the stadium at what capacity, I don't know, but we are seeing positive things as opposed to last year where there was just a lot of unknowns, so I feel really good about it. I'm optimistic, and we would love to have the Carter packed again. It's a huge home field advantage.
Just trying to piggyback on that, just a little bit of a follow-up. You mentioned fans getting the vaccination here statewide. Do you expect your team will be able to be vaccinated here in the near future?
Yeah, the entire campus is working on that, and obviously they're going through the protocol on who's probably in the highest need category and working their way down. I've been told anywhere between now and the end of the month of May, they're hopeful to have a vaccination here for everybody, which would be great because, our goal is to make sure by June 1, if they do allow visitors back on campus, that everybody's been vaccinated prior to that.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you joining us today. I know you're busy, but I do have one question that when I said we're having you on, everybody said, Lacey, you got to ask him this question. You got a spring game April the 10th. You got a real game September the 2nd against USF at home. I know it's early, but give the Wolfpack fans that crystal ball projection. How good is NC State going to be in 2021?
I'm not going to be able to make people happy on that. I would much rather get out here and work with them. I would just tell you that we're in a much better place today than we were 12 months ago. And coming out of a tough season with an inexperienced team, I feel like, we didn't know who our quarterback was. We had a lot of unanswered questions. We have a lot of answers right now in our depth chart. We've got very competitive depth in our depth chart. And we've got a veteran quarterback now that's proven he can bring us back and win close games. So there's a really good feeling in the Murphy Center right now with our coaching staff, and 9 of my 10 coaches are back. So there's good continuity that way. Feel very positive from all those things. We got to go out and do it. We've got to get better. We've got to stay healthy and got to do the right things. give these guys the best chance, and they've got to help us by, kind of following the script.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, guys. Coach Dave Doeren. Thanks for coming on, Coach. Hope you get you. Best of luck to you guys. And if you get off to a good start, watch out because they always finish strong in SEC.
I appreciate you.
Best luck.
Well, there you have it. Dave Doeren. Dale had to get his little Wolfpack sign in. I guess you guys caught that. Wanted to welcome in Tony Huggins, the former athletic director at Garinger High School. I've known Tony since I was knee-high to a tadpole. We went to school in middle school, high school, known each other since then. And I got Coach Jeff Caldwell, the former coach at Garinger High School. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Did a wonderful job over at West Meck as well. Guys, we had a situation last week, and I know Gary is very passionate about it. I want to bring Dale in this conversation too. I'm sorry. Let me get Dale in here. Very passionate about it. Before the team's first game last week, the coach decided to step down. We've heard about all the struggles that Garinger has had and the tough situations that they've had. And I just wanted to kind of get you guys' thoughts on what it would take to kind of get Garinger out of the current situation it's in. But before we get there, Coach and Tony, just your reaction to what happened last week with Garinger. Go ahead, Coach.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you, Coach. I think it was very unfortunate, to say the least. Just very unfortunate for all parties involved, for the kids, for the school, for the community, for the coaches that are involved. I think it's just very unfortunate situation.
Tony.
I'm gonna add on to what Jeff said. It's a sad situation because the kids that are there, and a lot of them Jeff have had, and was looking forward to this season. Looking forward to their junior and senior season. I wanted to have a coach to step down hours before the game is a bad situation. And that's something that those kids there have been dealing with, not with just coaches, but with teachers, principals, dealing with multiple changes.
Chris, I want to kind of get your statewide perspective. I want to throw up some numbers on the screen. Some of the things that Garinger has dealt with. 14 coaches now in 30 years. The last winning season is 2010. 5 winning seasons since 1980. They've had some really long losing streaks, and Coach ended the 55-game losing streak. And they won a state title in 1959. They were 29-4 3 years. The next 3 years, but it's been tough ever since then.
Yeah, it really has been tough, and I've not been in the building like Jeff has been. I've known Jeff for years, and I know the kind of coach he's been, whether it was when he was at West or what he tried to do at Garinger. So I'm not qualified to say what's going on in the building to why they've gotten there. But I do know that they've had some really good coaches over that stretch. Whether they did a great job during that time at Garinger or not, that's to be seen. Coach Carter, I know, went off to South Carolina and did some good things. But I've been to some games at Garinger. I went over there and saw them after they redid the turf field, and that there's still a whole lot of pride there in that little community. But just for whatever reason, it's just been hard to bottle it up and make it work. And a lot of that's just got to do with how super ultra competitive Charlotte football is in general. You don't have a week off in Charlotte. Everybody's good. You can't just show up with a big game and expect to win. But on the statewide level, I've kept track of coaching changes probably since about 2007 or 8. And they're certainly right up there with the most in terms of that lack of continuity. And when you don't have the continuity there, and you've got teams just right down the road, like what Tommy Knotts did at Indy and what Coach Hales and Newsom before him did at Butler, and all the Vance, even Rocky Rivers had some good runs. It's hard to build when everybody else in your neighborhood's just that much better.
Gary, you had a pretty radical idea for Garinger. I wanted Tony and Coach Caldwell to hear what you were thinking about that Northwest School of the Arts suggestion.
Well, first of all, last week I mentioned that you can't blame the coaches at Garinger. Okay, me and Tony came into the system around the same time, and I know he had a great women's basketball program. Nobody knows, people don't remember that Tony was a great women's coach before he went over to the boys' side and won a state championship. I'm giving you the props, Tony. And I still can remember the night we were at the coaches clinic in Greensboro, and you know, a lot of Charlotte coaches are hanging out together. And you know, one of the Tony said, "What's up?" He said, "You ain't here, man." I was like, "Nah, what you talking about?" He said, "I took the AD job at Garinger," and I was like, "What?" You know, it was almost like, "What you do that for?" And Tony said, I want the experience. I want to get into administration and sports administration. And I think I can do it. But my argument about taking athletics away from Garinger stems from the fact it never seems like the administration, the AD, and the coach are in alignment. You know, and I know what kind of person Tony is as a coach and an AD. Mm-hmm. But he had the rug pulled out from him numerous times. You know, I'm surprised that he never quit. You know, and if you're not going to be in alignment like that, if you're not going to do it the right way, then just don't do it at all. And that's what I'm thinking as far as Garinger's athletic program.
So you're saying let them go play somewhere else.
I'm saying if the administration and the AD and the community or the booster club and all of them can't get on the same page, which looks like they haven't been able to do for the last 30 years, then maybe, you know, they should not penalize the kids by having them be subjected to this type of, you know, problem with the adults, and let them go play somewhere else. And let that be a school of the arts or some kind of specialty school for that community. And those kids that wish to play at a better athletic program get that opportunity. I hate for a kid to get tagged with, "Oh, you play at Garinger." And they've been, you know, Jeff is a great coach. I remember when he was coaching at West Mecklenburg, the record he had at Garinger.
The pros about to come out too.
Yeah, it's no reflection of what type of coach he is. Just like it's no reflection of what type of AD that Tony was. It's just that somewhere prior to them getting there, you know, the reputation and the DNA had already been established at Garinger. And it seemed like there's not been anybody who can break that DNA mold.
Yeah. Coach Caldwell, you've been over there and you've had as much success as anybody has had recently over there. What are the challenges and what would it take? It probably needs a younger person, I'd imagine. What does it take to kind of get Garinger on the right track?
It takes a lot. It takes everybody, like Gary said, everybody has to be in alignment. Everybody has to be working together. Everybody has to be, you know, working toward the same goal, you know, and just, you know, and working together instead of working for each other. You know, if the kids work together, the adults should be able to work together. You know, we teach the kids to work together all the time, regardless of who's the quarterback, who's the best player, you know, regardless. The best player and the player that has the least amount of talent, you know, both of them going to get the same meal at the pregame meal. The best player not going to get his jersey before the other guy. So everybody works together. So the more that people work together, and it's been, you know, and we had a time where we were able to work together at Garinger. We had some good success and we had some good growth and development. But then, you know, and it wasn't the kids, and, you know, it's one of those things, you know, everybody has to be working together. When one part isn't working with the other parts, it's not going to work, you know, because
Tony, same question. You've been over in the administration side. When you look at Garinger now, what do you think it would take to get them to become, you know, more competitive, more cohesive, to get a coach to stay like Coach Caldwell did?
Well, I can tell you this. As you guys talk about the number of coaches that Garinger had in the last 30 years, let's talk about the administration side. Let's talk about the number of principal changes they had. I've had, while I was at Garinger, 3 different principals. Started with Mike Dry, who was a very athletic-minded person. He knew what it took at the school. He knew football was important. He knew sports was important, and he was wanting to build. Follow up behind Mike Dry, we had Kelly Gwaltney. Talking with Kelly Gwaltney, she was a football person. She brought Jeff in. We talked, and she went and got Jeff and brought Jeff in. And you mentioned that Jeff broke the streak, but also Jeff had a JV team that was built at Garinger under his watch that they haven't had a JV team in years. And once Jeff started to kind of turn the corner, to get the wins there, to get the kids there, then we had another administration change. And with that administration change, things changed in athletics. So as you're talking about what it's going to take for the school, not only just, stability in coaches, but stability in having the right administration. And Gary, it's funny that you talked about with changing the school into something like Northwest School of Arts. I always thought about, if you guys can think back to Waddell, they closed down Waddell because of a lot of people, the numbers started getting low. Parents was talking about not wanting their kids to go to the school in that area. Well, as soon as they closed Waddell down, they turned it to a magnet program, and one of the top magnet programs for middle schools in Charlotte went right over to Waddell and thriving and doing well. So, what it would take for Garinger? Let's look at a magnet program at Garinger.
Dale,
that's
you
the
mentioned
only way that's going to get people back into the building, not just students, but you got to get teachers that want to be there. You got to get, the last principal change at Garinger. Well, quietly as it kept, you had 7 principals that turned down that job, that refused to go to Garinger.
Well, that brings up an interesting point,
you got
because
administration that don't want to go there, and you got teachers that don't want to go there. Then it's very hard for people to want to send their kids there.
Yeah, Dale was talking about the principal situation earlier. You want to elaborate on that a little bit, Dale, again?
Well, no program can build unless they have good administration, and it all starts at the principal. And the principal has to not just say, I like football or I like sports and I'm an athletic-minded person, but they got to give resources to the teams, to the programs. That's certainly, I think, one of the bigger issues of all the coaches that they've had there. I've talked to a number of them, and it all comes away with the same kind of discussion, that we just don't have the administration support. And that means you got to get coaches into the building that's paid. You got to get a number of them. The problem at Garinger is another. There's the problem that Garinger has is the same problem that Waddell had. And if you just forget about the administration part, probably the bigger issue is the community. If you go to a Garinger game, even a homecoming game, and you look up in the stands, it's a sorrowful sight. And to know that those kids don't have that support that they need, that support structure, those people that can support the coaches. I heard Booster Club mentioned. Well, I'm sure Garinger would love to have a booster club that's producing like some of the other booster clubs do. I had mentioned about a principal that I knew that became a principal there, who was not so athletic minded. She, in fact, told me in a meeting with when she was down here in the middle school that athletes get treated forget the exact wording that she used, but it was more about being academic. We need to be academic and less about athletics and athletes getting passes on things. I don't know that has anything. Do what?
I say you can do both. You can be a good athletic school.
Exactly.
A good athletic school.
But ask those two guys, what kind of community support did they receive?
Tony, Jeff, what do you say? What kind of community support you guys getting?
Well,
okay. Go ahead, Tony.
No, go ahead, Jeff. I'll pick up where you leave off. Go ahead.
When I got over there, and I sat down with Kelly, Gwaltney, and Tony, and we put a plan together as a team. And I went out and Eastway Church of God, they supported us all 3 years. They fed us every year. They fed us, whether it was we had JV, they started feeding basketball. They were just asking, can we feed somebody else? And, and kids would go over there, and we always had speakers. They always had great speakers to come in, different, variety of people from different walks of life. And it was a great experience. And Steak and Hoagie across the street, supported, they were, big supportive. And I mean, those are just the personal ones, that I dealt with, that I was fortunate enough to deal with. And the community was great. It was just not a lot in the community. Once we went out and asked, it might take us, 3-4 times to, get it, but the persistence won out in a lot of situations. And the community is just like anywhere else. They want to do something. They just want somebody to ask them, and they want to know what's going on for, so they can get involved. So we did have some involvement. It just wasn't as much as, the other places.
Sure. The family community.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking about the family support.
Yeah.
Well, the other part to that is that, like Jeff mentioned, we had support, but we didn't have the numbers in support.
Yeah.
Where we might talk about, West Charlotte may have 100 families that come out, whereas Garinger we may only get 5 families. So that's where the problem lies in being able to get that family support. But that's why, I mentioned to you guys that when you talk about what can you do, well, looking back on CMS side of it, the magnet program would change a lot of that.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Would dropping the 2.0 rule help?
No, it would help. It would help in getting a few more athletes, but it would not help with as far as the support side.
Right.
No, I know not the support side. And I don't mean about just getting athletes, but it's also about helping kids.
Yeah. Coach Caldwell, before we got here, I just want to give you the chance to say your final word. Just anything that you want to say about Garinger. Could it be rebuilt? How to rebuild it? Just your general thoughts. And thanks again for coming on and talking to us.
Oh, thank you, and thank you all, gentlemen, for having me on. I'm an optimist. I think things can be done. It takes work. Just like each one of you have shared some great ideas. And with those great ideas, I think it's always a possibility. It just depends on the route that it takes. But I think it can be done. And just want to say one thing about the family support. By the second year, we had at least 6 families that would feed the kids after every game. Away games, they had bag snacks, sandwich, fruit, and then home games, they bought them, pizza, whatever, So the families got involved. It was you just had to be persistent. And you had to just, ask them. Sometimes people are not going to do it the first time, but that doesn't mean no. So if a person takes that no, then you're cheating the kid now, because you're going to ask the kid to keep doing something, or you expect the kid to do something. So it's expected the same thing on the coaches. But I think it can be rebuilt. But I think the ideas that you all shared this evening should definitely be considered in that process, because all of those good ideas.
Well, Coach,
thank you all, and you all be safe.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, Coach. I enjoyed working with you for so many years, and all the success you had at West Meg, seeing your kids do so well now at Chapel Hill and going pro. It just makes me proud to see those kids doing well. And Tony, thanks again, my friend, for coming on, and we'll have you back again, all right?
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm willing to come back anytime.
All right, y'all take care.
How's that retirement treating you, Tony?
Man, hey, I'm having fun over at Bradford Prep Charter School.
Oh man, I don't want to hear about two retired guys got too much time in their hands. See you later, Tony. Appreciate you, man. See you later, Coach.
All right, y'all take
Y'all
care.
be safe.
Alex, I'm give you the last word here before we move on, real quick. Alex, turn your mic on. Your mic's off.
Sorry about that. Very quickly, I don't want to be a complete naysayer, but I am very concerned that this next realignment is going to include Garinger still as a 4A school. Part of what would help this would be, we talk about what CMS could do in terms of positioning the opportunity for a magnet somewhere down the road, et cetera, et cetera. But Garinger still competing as a 4A school heading into the next realignment is going to be very, very tough. They're comparable in some ways to a couple schools in Wake County. Like you might have a 4A enrollment in raw numbers, but in terms of what your legitimate student athlete pool is, you're a mid to low level 3A in terms of numbers there. And that's going to be very, very tough or a formidable challenge for Garinger going forward. I am concerned about that. I'm hopeful, but I'm concerned.
Isn't that what the new association protocol is supposed to be about? Is having more than one weight other than population to, because Garinger broke their streak by playing a 2A school.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's supposed to be about that, but and hats off to the association for trying to incorporate that factor, but also it's very, very hard to get an authentic feel for any type of data like that in terms of integrating free and reduced lunch population, integrating the level of success that programs have had, trying to weave all of that together. It's really hard to get an accurate representation. And if a school has been very good in one sport, that could throw the whole number when really it's not indicative of what you have across the board. So yes, that's a good step by the association, but that's still very, very difficult in terms of it having meaningful impact in the total determinant, particularly in an LEA with schools as large as Charlotte-Mecklenburg.
Yeah, well, we could talk about the Garinger situation forever. I know it's been something I've talked about my entire career here. We've always been trying to figure it out. But we got my man, Huddy Dimes. Turn your microphone on, Huddy Dimes. Kizzy talks about you every week. Huddy Dimes, my man, Huddy Dimes. And then I look the first game you played Grice, you got 7 points. What's up, man?
Nothing much. How you doing?
That's not what I was asking you, but that's good. That's good. That'll work. Grice has before we play our game, Grice has a question for you.
Huddy Dimes, the man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. How you doing?
Good. So I got to take us back to the game. You guys scored that one touchdown where I swear like everybody slipped. I slipped on that play.
Yeah.
You guys got it in. But I want to focus on the end zone dance. So, I think Gibson was the guy that scored it, but everybody went to to the end zone on the field house end on our side. Now, as wet as it was, that is the worst spot on the field, and they hit the gritty dance pretty good. I mean, I give it about an 8 out of 10. So my question is, if Gibson's gritty was 8 out of 10, what's your best gritty? What level we got? 1 out of 10. What you got?
I thought it was a 10. I thought it looked pretty good from my view.
It was good. I mean, maybe the fact that he had on, he had on the white and black that maybe kind of dropped a couple notches. But I'm asking about you though. What would yours be? I mean, you at that 8 level because he hit it pretty good.
I don't know. I'm not much of a dancer, but I mean, try. I think I can do it.
Figured I'd ask that question real quick though. But great to have you on though, man, and best of luck rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Right. Thanks for having me.
All right, Tad, I gotta put you on the spot, man. Before we play our game, I gotta ask you about recruiting. Where are you right now with recruiting? I know there's a bunch of people about 90 minutes south of us that really want you down there, but where are you at with recruiting right now?
Right now it's been kind of tough with COVID and everything. So just still trying to build relationships. Still young. Just started the sophomore season. Yes, sir. That's right.
Nobody in the lead right now?
Not really. It's been kind of slow. I mean, just talking to all coaches, but like I said, it's still real early.
It's hard to build relationships right now. You know, like they don't have the ability to go on campus. They always say any school that gets a student athlete, they say the rule of thumb, I've asked these guys a few times, is if they get them on campus 3 times,
yeah,
they got a great shot at getting them. That's the rule of thumb.
How many offers do you have right now, Tad?
14.
14. What
Yes,
conference?
sir. I got ACC, SEC, Big 12. I think that's it. Yes, sir.
I got a question.
That's it. That's you know, no
That's
big
good
deal.
enough.
Times over here. Who was your favorite college to watch growing up?
Growing up, it was Florida State.
Florida State.
Florida State. My dad grew up loving Florida State, and so
Peter Ward, all them.
Yes, sir. Loved watching Kelvin Benjamin, all them guys. I loved it.
Who do you watch now on Saturday? And more importantly, who do you play? If there was a college video game, who would you play with?
I'd probably play with Bama. Bama's last year team.
Chico.
He trying to win. He trying to win. That's all about.
I see that.
That's right. That's right. Play with the best team.
Tell me about Hough this year. How you guys looking? I know you got off to a slow start, but you look really good this past Friday against Mooresville.
Oh, yes, sir. Like you said, we started off a little slow. Conditions didn't help, but started off slow and had a good week of practice for Mooresville. So came out, played pretty good against Mooresville. Could have done better, but we got Lake Norman this week, so just taking it one game at a time.
Yeah, tell me about that Lake Norman game. They surprised Mallard Creek. I'm sure they got you guys' attention.
They did. They looked good. Their defense didn't look bad. You know, they run that triple option on offense every year, so we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited.
Absolutely. Kinsey, you got any questions for your man, Huddy Downs, before we play our game?
I mean, all I got to say is we know he's going to do one thing against Lake Norman, and that's throw dimes. Slinger's going to sling, baby.
That's right.
All right. Well, you understand the rules. You get a multiple choice. You pick one. Sam's undefeated. He thinks he's the man. We need you to unseat him.
Yes, sir. I got
you.
All
right. Here we go. Question 1, Kinsey.
In 1977, which popular band released an immensely popular album called Rumors? Was it A, Pink Floyd, B, Fleetwood Mac, C, The Melvins, D, Timex Social Club?
Me first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice curls, by the way, there, Huddy Downs. Hang out. You getting a little man bun brewing?
I'm gonna have to go with Pink Floyd.
All right, Griner.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Pink Floyd too. I could be wrong, but that's what I was gonna guess.
Kinsey, what was the answer?
Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac. So we're 0-0.
Fleetwood Mac is. That's before I was born. God,
we're 0-0. Damn.
We have some more before you were born, but not yet.
Who picked these questions? They'll pick these questions.
Who sings the song So-So that is behind the popular TikTok dance? They're trying to throw me off with names, but Doja Cat, Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande.
Grande, I'm sorry. That was for, what's his name? Chris Brown and the Young Thug.
In the weekend.
Sam.
I did that. I missed that one. I'm sorry.
What's your answer, Sam?
I'm gonna go The Weeknd. I don't know. C.
Now, you got to get this one. This is TikTok.
I'm gonna go with A.
A is correct. A is correct, Sam. You're in the hole, my man.
Hey, good job.
The old question was before, like, hey, let's get a 1937s, like question. I'm just like, yeah,
we got a real old question now, Kinsey. Drop it.
Which children's TV show had its big premiere in 1969? Was it A, Mr. Rogers, B, Sesame Street, C, The Muppet Show, or D, Reading Rainbow?
Go ahead, Doms.
I'm gonna go with B, Sesame Street.
Golly, man. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Hold on a second, because I gotta come from behind. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Sesame Street too.
All right, you both are correct. 2 for Dimes, 1 for Coach. We go on to Dale with a little football quarterback trivia.
All right, yeah, and I remember this game. So the 1980 Holiday Bowl, that's SMU and Brigham Young played. The game's called the Miracle Bowl, and that's a game where BYU was down by 20 points and won. Now, which quarterback threw the game-winning touchdown pass to Clay Brown? Was it Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, love Dan, or Jim McMahon?
Oh gosh, this is still before my time. I'm gonna go with D.
I was gonna go with D too.
What would D? Good.
Final answer. Final answer is D and D.
Yes, sir.
We both got it right.
Yeah, 2 of the guys were. Oh goodness, 2 of the guys were already in the NFL.
Montana, that's Notre Dame.
Sam, there's only 1 question left, Sam, and you are down 1. You can put him away. You can put him away, or maybe we have to have him come back for a tiebreaker. Here we go, Kizzy.
Which one of these celebrities did not play college football? A. Bill Crosby, B. Vin Diesel, or C. Tommy Lee Jones?
Easy. This is an easy one.
I'm gonna go with A. Go with A.
Hey, Bill Cosby. What you got saying?
I didn't know that. I was just trying to scare him a little bit. I think that this is not my answer yet. I think the obvious answer would be like Tommy Lee Jones, but it just seems like a trick question. It's the last one. Believe it or not, you think Vin Diesel because of his size, he's an automatic football player, but I'm gonna say Vin Diesel did not play football.
Dang, Sam, you came back and tied it up.
Logic.
Look at that. Look at Sam tied it up. All that means
was actually an athlete, by the way.
All that means is, Tad, we got to have you back for some more later on.
Sweet.
Look, man, good luck
that was pretty clutch.
Good luck this season. When you get to 30 offers, just remember us. When you get to Sundays, just remember us. Leave us some tickets at the door.
Nah.
Hey, to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. So the title of milk stay right.
That's right. That's right. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Tad, you get to see him later on this year.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a long. I'm thinking about Mallard Creek. I ain't even thinking
about. He's just gonna beat you in real life.
All right, Tad. Appreciate you, man. Good luck.
Yeah, good job.
All right, take care. That's kid.
Who that gonna clutch 3 for 3 at the end?
Yeah, you came back out of nowhere. Hold on, let me.
I didn't know any of them either. I just had to start processing the information. I was like, you know what? I got to do the old SAT rule of thumb, eliminate, process, everything.
But Sam, we got Miss Zoe back from Olympic, freshman, back week 2.
She's a freshman?
Yeah, she's a freshman.
Wow, okay, I hear you.
She has skills too.
Yeah, she got great skills. Videos are unreal.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. So we're going to start out, though, with Kenzie. Kenzie, tell us what you got.
We got Holland Stallings because, here on Talking Preps, we're jumping on that bus. Providence football 2-0, baby. I mean, he's helping lead them to the next step over there at that program.
All right, let's see what you got here.
Today we're here with Holland Stallings of Providence High School. Holland, one of the first things I noticed about you is your NCHA profile. And your personal statement was, when you do common things in uncommon ways, you command the attention of the world. How do you try to put that to practice on the field and then just in your life in general?
Well, everybody runs, everybody lifts, everybody trains and tries to get better. But when you have an intentional and obsessive attention to detail and an intensity and intentionality about everything you do, it just sets you apart from everybody else. And it's what separates the average from the great and the great from the exceptional. And, that intensity and that intentional focus on everything that you do is just what separates. And so I try to live it out through that. That quote is just kind of summarization of that.
Yeah. This is also your senior year. There's been a lot of back and forth on if we were going to play. And then, we recently just found out that it's finally going to happen. What did that moment feel like for you and your team?
Well, we were just so excited because this whole time there's been highs, there's been lows, there's been frustration and a little bit of anger. And, it's been a roller coaster ride, but we're just really excited. I think we've got a really good team that we've been able to assemble this year and grow together. Our guys have done a really good job of, lifting on their own and staying in shape and getting better at their craft and their position groups, as we haven't been able to be with our coaches a lot. And we're just really excited to show what we can do.
Yeah, and I mean, your team has a little bit of a chip on your shoulder this year, and I feel like that's going to play a big role in your season. But how do you think it's going to play into the mentality of your team this season?
Well, like you said, we have a big chip on our shoulder. We call it a mountain. We got a mountain on our shoulder because we last season left a bit bad taste in our mouth. So we really want to go out and prove what we can do because everybody says that we're no good, and we just want to prove that we are who we say we are.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. And then now we're on to the speed rounds. What's your favorite movie, Holland?
I like Avengers, so I'm going to go with Avengers Endgame.
What's your favorite TV show?
I don't really watch a lot of TV, but I did watch Friends. That was a really good show that I enjoyed watching bits and pieces of.
What's your favorite food?
I'm torn between like fried chicken but you can't go wrong with a good shrimp burger from Eastern North Carolina. Shrimp burgers, those are so good.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Probably orange. Orange. I like orange. I grew up a Clemson fan, so.
Oh. Who's your favorite musical artist?
Riley Green. He's a country singer from Alabama. I like Riley Green.
It's my favorite musical artist too. A lot of common there. And if you were a superhero, who would it be?
I gotta say probably Captain America because he's just Captain America. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Holland. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
That dude, hey, if I ever need to take an SAT again, I feel like I need to call this man up. He just seems super.
I know you used a whole lot of big words at the beginning, right?
Like, okay, how about Providence, Coach Ward's job of
Hey man, I got my Providence hat. I'm on the bus. Can you see that? I'm
on the bus.
I'm on the bus.
They got Jordan logo now. They got the uniform.
Right there. I'm on the bus. Is that?
But you see what they really do a good job of is blocking the perimeter. Like when they're throwing those RPO scenarios, they're blocking the perimeter very, very well. So I saw that in the film. It was nice.
Absolutely. Well, Zoe, how was the week for you? Getting this thing ready for us.
It was doing really good. It was a kind of a struggle to get Cam actually to sit down because they stay busy. So we did it and it just came out really good and I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, it did come out really well. Zoe is a freshman, Chris. I mean, the talent these kids have is just amazing. Wait till you guys see this.
This is Cam with the Olympic Trojans football team, 2021, about to win state this year. My name is Cameron Smith. I'm a running back in the class of 2021. I'm committed to the Naval Academy for football.
A lot of top running backs left school this spring. You ran for 2K last year. You probably felt you were #1 returning back anyways. How do you feel about it now?
So yeah, a lot of top running backs did leave this past fall. So I mean, I always felt pretty confident even when they were here that I was a top running back in North Carolina. But even then, I don't really focus that much on it. I kind of just more focus on me and my team and how we're doing and we're winning. So last year, 2 years ago, we went 3-8. Last year, we went 8-4. So now instead of focusing on being a top running back, I'm focusing more on just winning a state title. That's my main goal. So I don't really focus on the top running back spot.
Describe your running style.
It's really complicated. I'm a patient runner, but I'm also very aggressive, very fast, very physical. I don't really run outside the tackles as much. I usually go stay in between the tackles. So in doing that, you do have to be very physical because you're running past D linemen and linebackers. So I mean, I kind of try and model my running style after Alvin Kamara. He's not that big of a back, but he is very powerful and very, very strong. So that's probably the person I try all my running style after.
Can you tell us about your hobbies and why you are into that type of stuff?
I don't really do much. I'm just a chill dude. If I do anything, I probably just listen to music. My favorite artist is probably Gunna. So I like a lot of his songs, and music just kind of calms me down, gets me like my zen, gets me in my mode. And I'm pretty sure it does that for a lot of people. So,
can you tell us one thing most people wouldn't know about you and tell us about it?
I have two things. So one, I really like cooking breakfast food. So my favorite food I cook is probably French toast. And then two, my granddad, he passed away, but he was the mascot for the Redskins. So I think that's pretty cool.
Can you tell us, how do you feel about high school football in the springtime?
It's really hard to say because there's a lot of excitement about it because we haven't played in almost 2 years. So people are really excited, and I think the high from that kind of takes away from the fact that you actually are playing in the spring. You're just really grateful to be able to play in general. But I kind of like it because I don't really like playing football in the cold. So now that we like practice in the cold but then play games while it's hot, I really do enjoy it. And plus the atmosphere this year just kind of feels a lot different than past years. So I think it's pretty cool.
See that? That's pretty good, Zoe. It's pretty good.
Thank you.
We need some more though. We got to get some more from you in the future. But I know you had some late hours by the times you were texting me. But how long does it take you to put together something like that?
Well, since like I said, he didn't get off until like 11 o'clock, and it took like that longer. But it just takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get it like perfect and to go like from detail to detail to detail to get like make sure everything's running smoothly and like nothing's like messing up. So probably like an hour to like 2 hours.
Man, if I was in ninth grade trying to do that, I would never, ever, ever get it done. What about you, Chris? I don't know.
Man, in ninth grade, I was so unorganized and just so all over the ball, all over the place. There's no way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Zoe, hopefully we'll see you next week, a week after when you get your next feature so we can introduce it. But thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care. Zoe's got skills, Chris. I mean,
Very talented.
She's really, really good. It's time to go to the corner. We're going to reveal the Raleigh Sweet 16 and then the back half of the Charlotte Sweet 16. We're going to do it real quick, but we're going to do that after we play Chris's theme music.
All right, like Langston said, we're going to do the Raleigh News and Observer Sweet 16 first, which encompasses Orange County, Johnston County, Durham County, and Wake County. There you see them right there. Cardinal Gibbons coming in at number 1, had that big win over Leesville a few weeks ago. They were supposed to play Wake Forest on Friday night. That did not happen because Gibbons has some COVID protocols going on. Cleveland right there, big 3A school, Coach Scott Riley's team, they could be talented enough to be the number 1 team. I think the jury's still out on Cleveland, but the Rams are looking really good. Rollsville right there, they're climbing up. Finally had their first game of the week Friday, played a very good ranked Rocky Mount team and beat them 42-7. Heritage, again, right there in Wake Forest. That Wake Forest, Rollsville, Heritage area, that's a packed area for talent in Wake County. Leaguesville Road, of course, we remember them from the state championship game. They're still very much in the mix. Southern Durham, they're undefeated, had 2 big shutouts back-to-back weeks. Holly Springs, Apex, that's Western Wake County, really good. Clayton's in the mix. Nightdale, Princeton, Millbrook, they're 2-0. Panther Creek, they had a big win this week. And Hillside, I can't forget about the Hillside Hornets. They've been in some state championships over the years. And Fuquay had a big win coming in this week. So, yeah, there you go. There's the Raleigh News and Observer Sweet 16.
Any surprises so far?
No, I wouldn't say any surprises yet. You know, we've still got some teams out there left to play. I think Sanderson's a much better team. Fuquay could probably be deemed a surprise, kind of coming in the way they've played. Fuquay Varina looks really good. Wakefield's still kind of in the mix. You know, maybe one surprise is I keep thinking Garner is going to get back to being the Garner we all remember them for being, and they just ain't quite got there yet with Coach Stark.
I remember Garner in 1987 when they came to Charlotte and beat Tommy Nelson's starting team. You got some surprises in this Charlotte Sweet 16 when we get down to the next slide, but let's talk about the second Sweet 16.
Yep, well, there you see right there, number 32, Mount Pleasant had a 27-21 victory over the Carson Cougars from China Grove. They had a 21-0 lead, and Carson kind of climbed the way back in there. North Rowan, here's some breaking news today. North Rowan's going to play one of the top Sweet 16 teams Friday night. They're playing High Brighton. at home, 7 o'clock kickoff. North Orleans really good. Mountain Island Charter. We're going to find out how good Charter Mountain Island is. They already played that 28-27 game with East Lincoln. They're going to play another big-time private in Thomas Jefferson Friday night. East Lincoln, there we mentioned them. Huge win over Lincolnton. Porter Ridge, that was a tough game, losing to Butler. We know Butler's really good. Chase, talk about having your hands full. Chase lost in a very, very tough 14-0 ball game against Burns, and we know Burns is loaded. Well, what do they get for that? They get to play Shelby Friday night. Concord, they had that overtime loss to Central, who, by the way, lost in overtime to Kannapolis. Concord might be a lot better than we think. They had a blowout win over Cata, and you flipped the screen before I could see the other one, but time to remember the other half. Hunter Huss. Yeah, Hunter Huss has a big game against Kings Mountain Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
No, it's okay. It's
trying
okay.
To keep going. Here we go.
It's okay. There you see, Watauga had that big win over Alexander Central. Central Cabarrus, they're still really good. The overtime loss to Concord, or the win over Concord, loss to Kannapolis. Maiden, North Lincoln, Providence. Hey, we talked about Providence. Moving on up, South Point, Mallard Creek. We might need to go back in the records book, Langston, but this may be the very first time since like 2008 that Mallard Creek ain't in it. And Salisbury had that tough loss to Oak Grove.
I definitely think this is the first time since about then that Mallard Creek isn't in it. But they definitely can work their way back. I think Grice is pretty high on them, and I think Sam's pretty high on them as well. Alex, time for the game of the week.
All right. All right, game of the week.
Hold on. Wait.
All right, it's game of the week. I know it's a little more sporadic this year in terms of the games we get to highlight because we're playing essentially conference schedules, but we have what would have been the headliner in one conference anyway, and we've seen a lot of turnover, obviously, on the field personnel-wise and coaching-wise too, but still two of the leading programs in Charlotte-Mecklenburg School and thus in the state of North Carolina. Myers Park and Butler, game of the week. All right, Kenzie, take it away for us. What you got?
I mean, both these teams can flat out ball. There's no question about it. I'm most excited for DJ McFadden, was a coach over at Myers Park, moved over to Butler. So for me, it's always good, good victory game, show them what they lost. A little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Know he's going to go out and coach his heart out. But Myers Park has got some talent, new turnover. Butler's been climbing programs, continue to be better and better each year, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a great game.
Gary?
Well, last year, Myers Park kind of dominated this game, and I think Butler wants a little payback. I think Butler's kind of flying under the radar, but they have that long-term culture at Butler, so they know how to win, and I'm very surprised that Myers Park has bounced back despite all the transfers and especially of losing Drake May early to graduation to college. Going to be interesting. I'm going to take Butler this time.
Anybody chime in here? And go back on what we said about Mallard Creek at the beginning. Is the loser of this game in trouble? Anyone?
Well, I think so, because look at the way the playoffs are going to be. You may only have two teams from this conference, and I think the loser of this game is in dire straits when it comes. They're going to have to play Hickory Ridge, and I think Hickory Ridge, I said it in our preseason Sweet 16 show, Hickory Ridge may still be the best team in the conference, but we never know. I mean, Myers Park, Butler, Hickory Ridge, they're all mighty, mighty good football teams. But I do think, there's only room for one or two of them, so I do think the loser could be in some trouble, Alex.
Is that the Hickory Ridge Cowboys? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, that's the Hickory Ridge Raging Bulls. I'd take the Raging Bulls over the Cowboys any day of the week, by the way.
Here we go. Always we got to bring back our segment, How About Him, next week. I really feel like it's about time to do that. But Grice, it's time for Grice's Gems. I'm trying to find everybody's theme music this week.
I was saying the music. Let's go.
Here we go.
All right, we've got a great list here today. I'm excited, Langston. Hey, this first one is the first time in Grass's Gym's history. We're going with an entire offensive line here. I love the pancake theme that Coach Fitzgerald and Coach Oliphant and the gang have there. This offensive line was the integral part in the triple option offense in creating what I would say would be the greatest upset in IMEC history. And Langston, I have you as the historian and Alex, but this is probably one of the biggest upsets in Charlotte football history if we kind of look back.
It's one of the bigger ones, yeah. I mean, nobody saw that coming. But Lake Norman is a good team, and we have been talking about them being strong all year long. But here we go: Vic Garrido, Austin Shaw, Pine Lake Prep.
Yep. So Vic Garrido, of course, the Hough transfer comes to the Pine Lake Prep. He was 20 of 33 for 420 yards and 6 touchdowns. Had 4 2-point conversions in the big win these guys had over Cherryville. Next here, we're going to Tramel Jones. Also is another one. I guess we forgot to get the Austin Shaw at Pine Lake Prep, though. He also had 5 receptions, 100 plus yards, and a couple touchdowns. Tramel Jones here had over 150 yards, 3 touchdowns for Richmond County. Was big for them in an overtime victory over Pinecrest here. We talk a lot about, the Hood brothers with Richmond County. Tramel Jones, I think, is an under-the-radar guy that we got to show some love to. And I'll finish up here, of course, with my rival here, but we show love to the kickers like we did the Vinisek kid from Northwestern. Here's Nolan Hauser. He's a freshman, Langston. He is a freshman. What is this about today about freshmen and how great they've been? But
I don't know.
this kid was integral in a big bounce back, as if Huff needed to bounce back here. But big win against Mooresville. As you can see, 3 or 4 with field goals here is, the offense seems to stall in the red zone. This kid was clutch and came through here with some very important kicks to help win. But as we say always each week, guys, you have a great Friday night. Let me know, let Langston know, any of these guys know. We want to highlight you. The gyms are for the elite guys that have great weeks, and these guys are more than worth it.
We want to put kids on the screen and give you guys a chance to be celebrated. All right, it's time for Doom and Gloom and Kinsey and Alex, and I still don't have my music right for Alex. I can't even find it. I'm like disconnected tonight. But you guys know the segment. It's one's got here we go. It's one's got to go.
All right. Well, we're gonna audible and just go with the one's got to go theme. We don't need any doom and gloom. Had enough of that recently. So we're just going to go with the one's got to go theme here. And let's go ahead and get going here. So, gridiron, all white away uniforms, all black, or all gray. One's got to go, Kenzie.
So is it just for football? Because there's, some things that I think come into consideration when you talk about it. Just out of curiosity, do you know?
Let's go across sports. Give us a couple of perspectives. You can talk football, you can talk basketball. Talk to us.
So I'm just gonna. It's National Women's Day. The white uniforms can be a little bit complicated. All my ladies out there, you know the struggle. So for me, white uniforms has got to go. They look so cool, but the struggle is real.
Gary.
I like all of them to an extent, but if I got one that's got to go, I think it's the gray, because gray says you can't make a decision. It's a combination of the white or a combination of the black together. The gray says to me you can't make a decision. That you can be the home team in gray, you can be the away team in gray. It says you can't make a decision, and I don't like indecisiveness, so gray's got to go.
Dale?
I kind of agree with that, but it depends on the shade of gray for me. This is a tough one because I do like them all, but I would probably do away with gray.
White is an NFHS approved color. Home uniforms in basketball, road uniforms in football, home in most sports. That's mandatory. I'm a compliance guy, so the white uniforms have to stay. The black uniforms, I'm a little disappointed that people have become so reliant on that as a type of statement that everyone's doing it, that the novelty of it is lost. So I'm not a fan of the black uniforms unless that's your primary color. I'm not talking Providence High School. That's their primary color. But everyone trying to do it as a novelty thing, I got a problem with that. But still, if one's got to go, the gray's got to go for all the reasons that Sir Gary Richmond just said right there. Hey, we need clarity in this. We don't need any more gray areas in athletics across the board. Make a decision and take a stand. Gray areas don't get you anywhere, and neither do gray uniforms. Gray uniforms got to go. All right, moving right along here. Shots, a root canal, a colonoscopy. What's going, Kenzie?
Well, I've never had a root canal or a colonoscopy, but they both sound pretty horrible. I don't really know which one's worse, but probably colonoscopy. That seems like a pretty big procedure. Colonoscopy, there you go.
I had to take shots for asthma when I was a little kid, so shots don't bother me, and I have gotten the vaccine, so I'm happy about that. Had a couple of colonoscopies, and the colonoscopy is not that bad. It's the preparation for the colonoscopy that people can't stand. The root canal would probably have to go. I've never had a cavity. And I'm in my mid-50s, and I've never had a cavity. So I'm going to say the root canal's got to go.
Yeah.
I have had a root canal. They're painful. So it's a painful situation. Those last two, that's tough. But I'm gonna get rid of the colonoscopy. Yeah.
I can't get rid of the colonoscopy because of what that means for cancer. So obviously I can't do that. And you all know why I can't do that.
There's other methods.
So, I mean, the colonoscopy's got to stay. As for those other two options, the root canal is painful. There's no doubt. I've never had one, but no, it's very, very painful. But the shots would go for me, and here's why. I'm not afraid of shots. Out of these three, I'd say the shots would go simply because of how shots have been misused on so many levels. I'm not talking about vaccines. I'm not talking about for asthma or conditions like Gary's talking about. I'm not talking about as a standard health procedure or protocol. I'm talking about how they've been misused in the name of excellence in sport, whether it be for steroids, whether it be as excessive painkillers, et cetera, et cetera. For those reasons, the shots have to go.
Well, they do have mail-in options, by the way. So just so you know.
And lastly, Sam's Club, BJ's, or Costco. What's going, Kenzie?
I don't even know what BJ's is, so BJ's has to go.
Gary?
I have a membership to BJ's and to Sam's. I've never been in a Costco, so you can't. For me, you can't miss what you never had. So it'd have to be Costco.
Damn.
Been to all three. They all have their pluses and their minuses. It's a hard call. Sam's Club.
Let me go on the record as saying that any entity that has to advertise what it claims it does in its name. There's a certain entity up here that used to be years ago, used to be called Cost Cutters. And the name was changed to a shortened version because the notion of being a cost cutter was misleading. So anytime an entity has to advertise, this is what we do, cost cutters, down to Costco, that makes you question the authenticity and legitimacy of what its stated mission really is. Kind of like Kentucky Fried Chicken going to KFC, like we don't know what that means. We want to fool people into thinking that you're not giving fried products. Yeah, cost cutters. Yeah, Costco. No, we're just what Costco's got to go. All right, that's another week of one's got to go. They'll go, one's got to go because once again,
Costco's actually pretty good.
Chris has his Costco. All right, Chris, let's go back to the Sweet 16. Let's start Charlotte 16-9. What you got?
All right. Hey, by the way, Gary, I've never had a cavity either, so good job for you. There you go. Sweet 16 coming in number 16. Audrey Kell did not play this week. Olympics looking really, really good. High Brighton, I mentioned them. They're going to play North Rowan Friday instead. Burns had that big 14-0 win over Chase. Lake Norman, obviously, we've talked a lot about them. They probably could go a little bit higher, in my opinion, but I think 12 is a good start considering they weren't in the ranking last week. A.L. Brown slipped just a tad bit. You know, they had that scare double overtime win over Central Cabarrus. Hickory Ridge right there in the mix, and Hough as well. All these teams are extremely dangerous and are having incredible seasons. So let's look at the top half, Langston.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me get it up, and we'll go to the top. What is that, Stan?
Costco credit card, boy. You take it to another level. We got to get that on the.
We got a credit card.
All right, there we go. Number 8, Myers Park coming in number 8. They play Butler this week, so obviously somebody's got to go out of the top half. Crest, Kings Mountain, Charlotte Catholic, even with the 7-3 loss to Weddington, Catholic is still exceptionally good. Butler, Weddington, we've talked about them. Richmond County had that scare against Pinecrest. Don't forget, Pinecrest has been in the 4th round of the Eastern playoffs past couple 2 or 3 years. That was an expected close game by me. And wait, did you hear that, Grice? I think Bance just scored again, by the way.
Why you got to do Grice like that?
I think it's Vance and everybody else.
Why you got to do Grice like that?
Oh, that didn't even hurt worse in the game. That didn't even hurt worse. That's fine.
You know what?
I didn't watch it.
Seriously, I did see somebody I saw somebody on Twitter giving Coach a hard time over there. I really didn't appreciate that because I know how hard you guys have been working to turn the program around. So I don't think one loss to a really great team slows that down. Vance will do that to a whole lot of teams.
Oh yeah, that's what we told our kids. I think a lot of other people are going to lose to Vance this year. I think all of them actually will, but another story.
And Bryce, I said that in fun, but in all seriousness, Vance is just incredible. I do think it's them and everybody else in this state.
Yeah. All right, Grace, here we go. Fresh faces. All right, we have Omari Smith of Southern Durham, Gary.
Nice size kid, 6'3", 195. Looks like he's a dual threat quarterback. Like I say, I kind of measure quarterbacks. Are they willing to step up in the pocket? He seems to do that from the highlights I've seen, fairly accurate. Doesn't have outstanding stats, which says to me that maybe they are a running program. He doesn't have a lot of attempts as far as throwing, but he seems to be fairly accurate. Chris, what's the background on is it Southern Durham?
Yeah, Southern Durham's an incredible team. I think they won 10 games last year. Always one of the top tier teams in the Durham, Raleigh area. Always well coached. Darius Robinson's done a great job coaching that program up, and they are a little bit more of a run-based team out of the spread, so I wouldn't expect the high passing numbers.
Well, let's talk about another run-based team, Lake Norman, Grace. Tanner Smith.
Hey, let's look at the defensive side of the ball, man. Defensive coordinator David Johnson, of course, head coach Jonathan Oliphant. Love a guy like this. This is an in-the-box linebacker that's, great nose for the ball here, and, actually having seen him and scheme against him up close. I mean, the big hitter, and that just really flows. You love linebackers like this guy that has a high motor and never quits. I mean, it doesn't matter where the ball is. He's got a good enough range to get outside and help provide support on any perimeter runs.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he lays the wood at 5'8", bringing it. I mean, he's kind of the quintessential high school football player.
I was going to say, all the kids are like this size, whether they play running back, fullback, linebacker. That's where they have about 30 of these kids.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Really impressive. All right, we got Panos Burlos of South Meck up next.
Panos Burlos, man, might as well just call him the Alvin Kamara of high school football. I mean, his balance is incredible. You see him run through tackle after tackle after tackle. I mean, he's just a hard runner. He's going to do whatever he can to fall forward and get the yardage, and he does it extremely well.
Yeah, I mean, he's part of the standard over there, and it looks like, South Meck is kind of rebuilding slowly, but I think Coach Evans has him on the right path, right, Griner?
Yeah, definitely. He's the real deal. I mean, I know they're struggling right now, but he's, like they got there saying the standard, and I think that he's doing a good job. They're building it from the ground up, from the weight room standard, and it'll pay off. It normally takes the third year you'll see the results, and it's hard to see it in year 1 and 2. It really is.
All right, Chris, we got Torn Wright of A.L. Brown.
Man, I don't know if you guys remember the head football coach at Catawba in Coastal Carolina, Coach David Bennett, and he used to talk about them dogs. Well, Torn Wright's a dog. He's got some offers from a lot of guys. He's picked up an offer from Michigan, South Carolina, NC State. He's probably going to be an NC State guy if I had to imagine. But he is a tackling machine. He lines up there on that outside. He's got the speed to go out there and cover the field sideline to sideline. But, boy, when he sticks his pads in there, he is a tough hitter. Just look at it right there making the open field tackle, picking up the fumble that he caused. I just like this guy a lot. Plays from Mike Newsom, who's always kind of had a knack for producing them dogs. So I like Torn Wright a lot.
I love
that dude looked long. Like he looked super long.
He's about 6'3", 220, 225.
Yeah, it's nice to see. A.L. Brown kind of getting back. I mean, you think about high school football; they're kind of one of the teams you think about around here as being good as A.L. Brown, and having them be a power is certainly. And I never thought that they would not be under Newsom, was one of the best coaches around. All right, we got Amarion Hampton. I got to get his video started. Hold on a second. This is when I can't. This is why I try to put them all together. I can't see. When I'm trying to share it. He has his music. Go ahead, Alex. This is your guy.
Amarion Hampton is electrifying. He's the type of player that makes an incredibly potent Cleveland offense ascend to an even higher level. He is that kind of a difference maker and separator that has Cleveland in the upper echelon of the Greater Triangle area and the 3AA, what will be the 3AA ranks later this year. Now, we have to keep in mind that we all have seen a number of great backs through the years. And I want to mention a couple of my all-time favorites when Michael Waddell and Marcus Ellerby were at Richmond County back in 97 and 98. So I'm not going to go crazy because of having seen types of guys like that in person, but I've seen Mr. Hampton in person, and he was most impressive. I walked away very impressed with him. So he is a difference maker. You see his ability to handle multiple tacklers. You see his breakaway speed, how quickly he hits the hole, and how he is able to use his weight very, very well, his balance. His vision is absolutely exceptional, and that contributes to his versatility in terms of, you saw him on special teams, you saw him between the tackles, you see him getting out wide. So, like I said, I've seen Waddell and Ellerby and so many others through the years, but he is electrifying, and he is the separator for an already potent Cleveland offense, which ascends to a higher level because of him.
All right, there we got Jacob Newman of Marsh Park.
Yeah, so people around Charlotte know or may remember his dad, Tim Newman, who was a very fast running back at Olympic. As you can see here, this kid he's explosive. He doesn't just need space, he makes space. You'll see that he finds the edge, outruns people. Is this the one where he knocks the Garinger kid over? Tough inside. He keeps his legs moving. you'll see here. Fights his way into the end zone. Keep moving, keep moving. Good running back. Very I like what I see. I like the way he finds. Now, this is a really good example of keeping your feet moving. Get spun around. He just keeps going, fights all the way down to the goal line. I like him. I think he's a good running back.
Sam, what do you see here?
He's very good. He's got a good first step. He's very explosive on his first step, and that's very important for a running back. Even if you don't have top end speed, he looks like he's got some decent speed. But like if you have a great first step, you can be an effective running back. I like him. He understands what he wants to do with it. I like him. Where did he come from, though? I saw his highlights earlier. It looked like he had like a blue helmet. What school?
He was a JV MVP his freshman year, and then last year, he was kind of one of the guys, on that Drake May team with all that talent they had.
Okay,
yeah. Because his brother played at Myers Park too. So yeah,
and his brother's Presbyterian now. So he's playing.
Warner kid.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been a good player for a while in the.
Well, his dad, I know his uncle was a sub. He was a 4.2 guy actually.
Yeah, his uncle Charlie. He's a speed trainer now.
Exactly.
Yeah, he worked with Tommy Knotts back before people really did speed training. Tommy was kind of one of the first people to do that. And Jacob's going to play Butler on Friday, and Garinger has a really good running back, Davion Nelson.
Yeah, Davion, he reminds you of the bus from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a big cat. Like I don't know what his weight and size is. I'd have to look that up, but he looks like he's 6 foot tall, and he looks like he's close to 220, I would say.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. And he's really good at getting his shoulder square and finishing off the run. Butler's dominant. They're like, the more I watch them, when I watch this highlight, they're definitely a team that's going to be at the top tier competing for a state championship. I think Hells did a good job of, reestablishing the Butler culture. And, I graduated from Butler. I want to see them do well. And this kid right here is definitely helping them. That's no doubt.
Who do you think's going to win Friday, Garinger?
Hopefully we win on Friday.
No, I mean in the game of the week, the Butler Myers Park. You know what I'm talking about.
Butler's going to win. It's not going to be close.
Not going to be close. That's going to be on the bulletin board somewhere. All right, it's time to go first, coach.
Man, Coach, you said it's not going to be close. I can't wait to hear the feedback from that. But, man, we're back here for another Coach versus Coach with my two dogs. So let's get this thing going. I don't know, Coach Grice, since you were on the top right there, we're going to let you get the first go at this first question. So let's do it. Coach versus Coach. Should non-4AA or could a non-4AA team win the 4AA this year?
Look, I'm not going to belabor this point. I was on the sideline on Saturday night. It ain't happening. I don't need to argue this one. Garinger, I'm throwing it to you.
Yeah, if I had to take if I threw at the dartboard and just said who's going to win the state championship, I would say Vance too. They look really, really good and talented. If there's one team that can compete, I think the next best team, besides maybe a Butler, but it's not a 4A school, would be Weddington. I think Weddington's one of the top teams. We showed that how great their defense was. I think that we were going to get that Vance-Weddington matchup, but it didn't happen, right? They were a preseason.
Oh, that robbed us of one of the all-time matchups.
Yeah. So we would have to see that, but I think that they're so well coached and they're talented. Their weight room program is pretty good. I think Weddington could definitely give them a run for the money, especially if they had their running back. Because I would not pick against that dude anymore.
Absolutely. And Coach Andy Capone's Weddington team, they'd keep it a ball game. It would be a very entertaining game. And Vance would know that they were there. But I'm kind of with you guys. I think the culture and just everything that they've got going on at Vance right now, I think it's them and everybody else. All right, let's look at question number 2, Coach versus Coach. Will fall football be hurt by spring football? Coach Garinger, go first.
Yeah, definitely it's going to hurt because the issue is this. Say you have, we had a kid that went down with an injury that normally would take, 6-7 months to come back from. It's going to cost them 2 seasons technically. So that's how it's hurting. Kids are going to get injured because we're in a weird situation. You don't have time to recover. So there's going to be some injuries. It could be an elbow extension. It could be an ACL. Any of those things you could come back. in the following season, but you ain't gonna be able to come back in the fall by now. So that's how it's hurting for sure.
Yeah, and I think that, you have that for a minority, of players. I mean, unfortunately lost a player this past weekend to a season-ending injury. And I think he should be able to go for fall. But one thing I do think that it will help is that I think guys, as far as from a mental standpoint, will be much ready to go in August. I mean, I think, you kind of spend a lot of time in spring ball of getting guys back used to being on the field, kind of getting, your install going and allowing guys to kind of understand, like, okay, it's football time from a on-field standpoint. I think, when we get into the summer, guys will have rested, but still, kind of have their football juices going, still understand what it is that you were trying to do just only a few months ago. And I think you'll get better quality game once we get into the fall season. So I am excited to see some, this crop of seniors with the junior season so close. And those guys, of course, with adequate rest, but still getting in there and mentally being fresh and ready to go for a regular season.
But the only thing, like you said, I agree with some of those aspects, but the really problem is, like, the weight room is such a big catalyst for football, and you can't, from like when our season's over with, even if they allow us in the weight room, you're not going to be able to put on a weight room program where it establishes in the fall. So you're literally, whatever team you're putting out there right now is basically the team you're putting out there in the fall. There's no adjustments, there's no improvement, and that's where, I think it's a little.
I mean, I slightly disagree there. I do think you see some ingenuity with, guys working on, like, we have the yoga mats, doing more full body stuff, hang cleans, full power cleans, different military press, things like that. So I do applaud a lot of the S&Cs I've seen out there. And of course, it's very resource dependent, but I have seen some very creative things that have been done to ensure guys are still, taking care of their bodies during this offseason. And I think as we get into that offseason, looking to tap into your national strength and conditioning associations, I'm really hoping that those could be great resources for us to reach out to kind of figure out how to navigate off-season programs in the pandemic. So it will take some creativity, just as it has with the season, but hopefully we all can pull our heads together, no matter if you're Titan or Lion or Cougar, and kind of get together and figure out the best way to get these kids ready for fall.
No doubt.
I agree with both of you. And I think we're already seeing that those programs that's been in the weight room since last spring are the ones that are really excelling right now. Lake Norman, let's use them as an example. And I think you could see an opportunity, though, where a young player today who is getting reps that maybe he wouldn't get here in the spring could springboard into the fall and have a really productive season. So we'll I think it's going to help some, but collectively, I do think it'll hurt as well. And final question, we get it up here, coach versus coach. Should the NCHSAA add a real spring practice after this year? Coach Grice, you're up.
Man, in the words, Jerry Maguire, I say no because, hey, CMS, show me the money. We are doing all of these things, and we need to be compensated for that. I would love for all of us to get out there, but when we talk about resources, we talk about coaches and the demands that they already have on them. I mean, Garinger over here, hell, I almost feel like I saw him at left tackle on this West Charlotte North Mech tape with the guy coming in there. Like, we're asked to do so many things, and now you're putting additional things on our plate. And it's like, I would love to get out there and do that, but show us the money. Additional sacrifice, deserves additional compensation, or else you're going to continue to see the South Carolina flight. If I want to do this, it's great, but I know that there's not going to be a plan in place to provide adequate compensation for coaches. So, no.
I mean, I can't argue with the paycheck situation. We already get no money whatsoever coaching the sport. People don't understand. Let me just break something down.
Let's go. Break it down.
Normally, I work about 40 hours a week being a teacher. During football season, I work about 105 hours a week, every week. And it doesn't stop. Like, you get no time, and you're doing it because you're dedicating yourself, and it comes to pennies. Like, we literally make like 12 cents an hour when you put the hours into it. Now, would I like to see spring practice go to real spring practice? Yes. Now, I don't want to see type of games played in the spring like we're doing right now. I don't think we need that type of situation, but I need to be able to put on full pads because I feel like the spring, we're still trying to overwork our kids anyways. Let's get some productive spring going where we're able to have 2 weeks of contact just to see where we're at. And then I think that'll be great. It won't be too much, not too little. It'll be just right. So I want to see more of that going into spring. Definitely.
Guys, what coach ever got into this business for the money? We've all three coached. None of us did. I'm going to give away the coaching argument, but I've had several big-time college coaches in many different programs say that North Carolina's behind the eight ball when it comes to spring practice. You think about it, a senior coming out of a program here who's been in 3 years of spring practice is going to have 12 additional weeks of practice going into college. Now, you got your skill players that typically aren't hurt by this, but I've had a lot of big-time college coaches say that your big linemen who wear footwork and different techniques as a lineman that are so important going to that next level, especially competing against 22, 23-year-old linemen at other schools, that's where you start to see them a little bit behind the eight ball compared to maybe a skill player. And that's why I think we need to have spring practice so these guys have better opportunities to be on the level they need to be when they get to the college.
His name is Chris Hughes. He'll be here every Monday night. He is the foremost authority on high school football. I don't know what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're looking at on Twitter. This is the man. He's on this show, nowhere else. Come see him every Monday. Sam, we're running real heavy, so I'm going to put you in the one shot, give you your final thoughts. We're going to get out of here.
I just want to say, congratulations to all the coaches that are able to play football games right now. It's been a very tough road during the COVID, and you're doing a great job. You're making a bigger difference than what you know. And don't get discouraged if you're 0-2, if you're 1-1, or if you're 2-0 and you ain't playing the way you think you should play. You're out there playing a game that you love. You're coaching a game that you love. Enjoy it.
Sam, when you start letting the hair grow back, man?
I think right there, boy, I'm getting that man bun coming back because I know
that you look like you look when I met you.
You're gonna have another ponytail.
And here's the thing, like I realized this, so it's kind of like a tradition when I take over a program. I know it's gonna be a struggle. Like there's gonna be a struggle, so I know I'm gonna go through a rough look. So I'm just gonna make myself go through a rough look, and I'm gonna try to be like Samson and grow that hair out so we get some strength somehow. That's kind of how I'm gonna roll with it.
I'm gonna make Sam blush. I'm gonna make Sam blush. The first time we ever did a story on Sam, he was at Harding. He told me they were gonna be great, and they were awful at the time. And I sent a photographer over there. It was a young female intern, and she comes back and says, "This guy looks like a model, Mr. Langston."
Why would you say that?
And now he's on my show doing this all the time. Guys, a great show, man. I appreciate you guys coming on every Monday. I hope we got so many people that stuck this long. I appreciate you guys as well. We'll be back next Monday with another great show. I'm Langston. That's Chris. That's Grice. That's Gary. That's Miss Kinsey. That's Griner. That's Gary. That's my man Alex Bass. We are Talking Preps.